New Year's resolutions. I was going to make a video today on New Year's resolutions. My resolution to stop procrastinating for 2019, but I think I'm just going to wait till next week to do it.
UNCLELOU here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, UNCLELOU, and I'm live for you on LouTube today. And thanks for watching. I really appreciate it also. And two, in addition to all that as well, yeah, you know the routine by now. I'm going to do something a little different today. Well, first of all, we have a live show tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. So you guys make sure you tune in for that. It's a call-in show. We do it most Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern, and most Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be tonight at 10 p.m. Make sure you tune in. I take phone calls from fans from all over. You guys control me about the Sugar Bowl, whatever you want to do. Okay. Anyway, going to do something a little bit different today. Rather than pace back and forth out here in the room like I normally do, or pick up the camera and yell into it or whatever, I'm going to sit here and talk about something with you guys. And normally I don't like to do this, and that is talk about someone else's opinion, right? Usually on this channel, I like to give my opinion on things that are going on, whether it be with UGA, the SEC, college football in general, whatever. I usually like to give my opinion. What I'm going to talk about today, Tim Worley, running back for Georgia in the late 80s, right? He wrote a letter after the Sugar Bowl, and he does a very good job in this letter of explaining and laying out a lot of the same feelings and opinions that I had leading up to the Sugar Bowl, and a lot of the same feelings and opinions that I currently have after the Sugar Bowl. And he does it in a much more rational tone, right? I tend to get overly emotional, yell and scream, and you know, I know some of you guys like to see that, but a lot of times when I do that, the point that I'm trying to get across is lost in translation. So I don't normally like to do this, but I'm going to do this today. Tim Worley, running back from Georgia in the late 80s, penned a letter to, an open letter basically, to UGA, the football program, to Kirby Smart, to whoever. A lot of you have probably seen this letter by now. It's been all over the internet. Started making the rounds yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening, everywhere this morning. This is a screenshot of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution article about the letter that he wrote. And what I'm going to do, and I'm going to pull up some of his letter and show it to you, and then some of the parts I'm just going to read to you, and then I'll sort of give you my opinions and takes on what he's saying here. But like I said, he does a much better job than I could do of rationally explaining some of the feelings and thoughts that a lot of Georgia fans had about certain things that have happened at UGA over the last 30 days and what happened in the Sugar Bowl, and maybe what we need to see done or changed or done differently moving forward to avoid falling off a cliff, really, to sort of paraphrase what he is saying here. Okay, let me put up part of this article here for you, okay? And I don't know if you'll be able to read it that well on your screen, so I'm gonna sort of just read some of what he has to say here. Do your job. You know what else I did? I played in our bowl game when I knew I was declaring for the NFL draft as a junior. In fact, when I played in the 1989 Gator Bowl against Michigan State, my last game as a Georgia Bulldog, guess who else played in that same game and declared for the draft days later? First round and the second overall pick, offensive lineman Tony Mandrich, and first round, 22nd overall pick, Andre Rison, who, by the way, was the Spartans MVP with 9 receptions for 252 yards. Don't at me about their NFL careers. That's not the point. The point is the bowl game I played in had 3 first-round picks in it, and we didn't just play in the game. We went at it. Along with my backfield mate, Rodney Hampton, who was a first-round pick the following year, we flat-out battled in that game. And UGA won by a score of 34-27 in front of 76,000 people. Why? Because we were supposed to play. Because our universities expected us to play. Because our scholarships required us to play. Because we gave our word to our families and to ourselves that every time we were on the field, we were going to leave everything on it. And equally as importantly as all of those reasons, because our teammates depended on us to play. And we were not going to abandon our brothers, because every game we played in our school jerseys mattered. Whether UGA's coaches and players realize it or not, the Sugar Bowl mattered. Salute, sir. Golf clap, soul clap. Whatever you want to call it. Now I hope you guys understand what I meant at the beginning. These are the same exact sentiments and feelings that I have been expressing about this game and DeAndre Baker and anyone else who may or may not have skipped the Sugar Bowl for Georgia just because. I know there was some people that were injured, and I'm not going to go there because I have no idea whether that's true or not, how serious the injury is. So I'm not going to go there on people like DeAndre Walker and stuff like that. But we know for a fact DeAndre Baker could have played in this game, and he chose not to. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, especially those people who defend these players' decisions to sit out of bowl games, a lot of you are going to say, well, Lou, times are different, right? Times are different today than they were in the late 80s. And I get that. I do get that. Yes, times are different. And the amount of money their first round pick is going to make today when he gets drafted in the NFL is a whole lot more than what Tim Worley was looking at in the late 80s. But I don't think that's the point here. The point is exactly what Tim Worley laid out in this letter here, and I may read some more of the letter here in a few minutes. If not, I'll just sort of paraphrase what else he had to say, because he had a lot more to say too. I have been saying this all along. Does DeAndre Baker have the right to sit out the bowl game? Yes, and I understand why he made the decision to sit out of the bowl game, just like I understand the decision that a lot of these other players made to sit out of the bowl game. I don't agree with that decision. This isn't new. I didn't read this article and then make my mind up about that. If you guys have been watching, I've been on this forever, going back 2-3 years on this channel. Now, this is the first year that Georgia has had a player sit out the bowl game due to the NFL draft. But I've been hard on other players who have done it for other schools in years prior. And if you guys know anything about me at all, it's this. I am not going to change my opinion about something just because suddenly a UGA player is involved, right? That is never going to happen. That is never going to happen. When we went through a string of players getting in trouble with the law and getting kicked off the team and stuff like that, I was just as hard on those Georgia players, if not harder, than I was on the same things happening to other players at other schools. And when I rag on people like Josh Rosen and Leonard Fournette and whoever else you want to name for sitting out their bowl game, I'm not going to suddenly stop doing that now just because a Georgia player is sitting out. If you guys don't know anything else about me by now, you should know that. I love my Georgia Bulldogs. I'm a homer for Georgia, no question about it. But when it comes to what I believe, what I think is right or wrong, I do not change my mind or my opinion because it involves a Georgia player versus a player from another team. I just don't. I think it's wrong for these players to sit out the bowl game, and I'm not going to change my mind on that. I understand why they do it, but I think it's wrong for the exact reasons that Tim Worley has laid out in this letter. And these are things that I've been harping on here on YouTube for the last 2 weeks, on Facebook, on Twitter. It's the same things. You're letting your school down, you're letting your teammates down, and you're letting the fans down. And Tim Worley spells it out in plain English right here for everyone to see. Right? I mean, he says it. What does he say? Every game we played mattered. The Sugar Bowl mattered. Another thing that I've been harping on over and over and over and over again. I get it. We have a playoff now. And yes, okay, there can be varying degrees of matter, right? Obviously, the national championship game matters more than any other bowl game, right? The playoffs, the 2 semifinal games, matter more than any of the bowl games other than the national championship game, right? But the Sugar Bowl matters more than the Red Box Bowl that was played a week or 2 ago. But the Red Box Bowl still matters. These bowls matter for the exact reasons that Tim Worley lays out right here for you to see. Not wanting to let your school down. You made a promise to the university. You made a promise to your parents. And football players play football. He lays it out right here in plain English. Now, as far as the actual effort or results on the field, let's see what he has to say about that. Now look at this here now, and I'll read some of this again too. Quit smelling yourself. Now I'll discuss the bigger issue about last night's loss to Texas that frankly has me concerned, really concerned. This issue has been adequately addressed by journalists. In this Dog Nation article, which he posts a link to, Coach Smart said Texas wanted it more, and he said, I hope they learn you better show up to play every game because the teams you're playing at the end of the year are all capable of topping you. With all due respect, Coach, hope isn't going to get it done. You can't hope they get it. You have to make them get it. That only happens with a no-exceptions culture that is either bought into or players play somewhere else. You've seen it done. As Alabama's defensive coordinator, you have championship rings proving it can be done with this generation of athletes. I mean no disrespect, but later for all that hope stuff, bruh. I'm not a journalist. I'm a ticked-off member of Running Back U, and the issue that concerns me is entitled apathy. Let me stop right there for a second. You can apply this same thought process to fans, too. A lot of Georgia fans who spent the last 30 days crying and saying that the Sugar Bowl didn't matter. Now, yes, I wanted Georgia to be in the playoffs. Of course I did. But not for 1 second did I have the attitude that the Sugar Bowl didn't matter or that it wasn't important. And obviously, Tim Worley agrees. Back to the article. UGA's players and possibly its coaches clearly didn't want to be at the New Orleans Sugar Bowl last night. And it's not because they don't like gumbo. I'm a North Carolina native and a country boy, so I'm going to say what happened the way we say it in Lumberton. They threw their suckers in the dirt. I'm not going to single out anyone, but UGA players were blowing Twitter up during the Clemson-Notre Dame game, lamenting the playoff committee's faulty decision-making in choosing the 4 best teams for the playoff. And they didn't hold back. They were brash, arrogant, haughty, loud, and based on last night's lackluster performance, UGA players' bodies were at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, but their minds were out west in Levi's Stadium, where they will not be playing because a team that beat them will be. UGA showed everyone watching, including NFL scouts, that if they weren't playing in the playoff, then they weren't playing at all. Another country boy saying, telling the truth and shame the devil. Here's the truth. UGA players being comfortable with publicly blasting the playoff committee is without question a leadership failure. Mic drop. Another thing that I harped on all day yesterday on social media in some Georgia groups, and I don't remember if I said this on YouTube or not, but I said the Sugar Bowl performance to me clearly showed a lack of leadership from a player perspective, especially on offense. Now, I get it. Now, the coaches have to hold a ton of this blame too, because it's the coach's responsibility first to get the players to buy in, right? But usually the way this works is the coaches will have a small group of players that they will talk to and try to instill these things into. And then the players, it's up to the players, the leaders, to make sure that that attitude is shared amongst the rest of the team. And there was an epic failure of leadership in the Sugar Bowl on behalf of the players on the University of Georgia, especially on offense. Especially on offense, in my opinion. Who is the leader of this offense? I don't even think I have to say it. I think you guys know who it is. He failed. He failed in his responsibility to make sure that the players on this team stayed focused and ready to go for the 30 days leading up to the Sugar Bowl, in my opinion. Jake Fromm failed. Last year, Jake Fromm was a true freshman. See, normally the quarterback is the natural leader of an offense. I'm not telling you people anything you don't know, I don't think. Quarterback is the natural leader of any offense. But Jake Fromm was a true freshman last year who was forced into starting when Jacob Eason went down, and we were blessed to have a offense that was loaded with seniors, particularly Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, 4-year starters, NFL draft picks. We were able to lean on them offensively for leadership. This year, with those two guys being gone, this fell on Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm was the leader of this offense, and in my mind, and in Tim Worley's mind, he failed miserably. Back to the article. UGA is at a crossroads. I see an opportunity on the other side of what I hope is a nasty taste left in the mouths of the Dogs' leadership. And when I say leadership, I'm including coaches and players. That opportunity is that somebody gets to step up right now, not during spring practice, today, and cut entitled apathy off at the pass before it becomes an epidemic. Coach Smart has asked me to come back and speak to the team. Coach Smart hasn't asked me to come back and speak to the team since his first year at UGA. And I'm probably dramatically decreasing the odds that he will invite me back now, but that's fine. Sometimes you have to get mad before change can happen. And he hasn't hired me as a leadership development consultant yet, but I'm extending some free advice because I know all too well what can happen when an athlete's character is left unchecked. Keep in mind, I'm assuming someone is going to step up. I'm assuming someone is going to take the word of a former player who's not speaking from a sanctimonious high horse, but instead from the 2020 hindsight wisdom of a person who took his foot off the character development pedal the second someone in authority at UGA told me I was going to be a millionaire. Consider this as the kind of advice an uncle would give his nephews. Uncle Lou here. And I'm going to read just a little bit more, and then we'll be done with the article. Compete. Every game, no exceptions ever. Win games you're supposed to win. That means all of them. Enough with the trying hard crap. You're there to win. Do it. Get off social media before ball games. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Say what you have to say with 60 minutes of dominant play. Stop whining about where you're not and commit to where you are. You didn't make it to the playoff. You made it to the Sugar Bowl. Your job was to play like your life depended on it. In the Sugar Bowl. January 2nd hurt recruiting. It hurt the futures of those who will declare for the draft. It may not seem like it right away, but the long-term effects could be irreparable. The performance last night sent the wrong message. It encourages the pervasive sentiment that college ball is just a stepping stone to the NFL. This dishonors the integrity of amateur football, diminishes the privilege it is to play next-level ball, disrespects the scholarship/investment the school has made in the player's education and athletic ability for those on scholarship, and throws up the middle finger at the responsibility that comes with the privilege of playing NCAA and SEC football. Take a page from Nick Chubb's and Sony Michel's book, Big Team, Little Me. Now, like I said, I know this is something a little different than what I normally do, but like I said at the beginning, this letter that Tim Worley wrote sums up everything that I said about the team leading up to the Sugar Bowl, and sums up everything I feel about the team after watching the way they performed in the Sugar Bowl. I'm not making any excuses in terms of what Texas did. Texas came out and played a great game. They dominated on both lines of the scrim. In the Crow video I did right after the game, I don't think I made any excuses. I gave Texas all the credit in the world, and I'm still doing that now. But both things can be true. Texas came out, played a better game. They were better coached. They were more prepared. They were the better team, period. End of story. But both things can be true. That can be true, that Texas was better, and Georgia crapped to bed. Both of those things can be true. Anyway, I could probably rant and rave for another 20 minutes, but if I did that, then that would defeat the whole purpose of sort of talking about this letter. So, Tim Worley, salute, sir. Hats off to you. I could not have said it better myself, and that's why I didn't try. I just came on here and read your letter. I hope the points I'm trying to make comes across. This was the best way I knew of to sort of put a bow on the Sugar Bowl and kind of try to wrap it up. Again, if you guys want to talk about this more, there's a live show tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern here on YouTube. Make sure you tune in. It's a call-in show. You can call. Tell me what you think about Tim Worley's feelings, right, about the Sugar Bowl, the team, the attitude of the team, and what he thinks needs to change going forward. Is he right or wrong? Let us know tonight at 10 p.m. on the UNCLELOU live show. And until then, you guys have a great morning.